Hi, Jefferson Brian from Red Dirt Rods. Now today we're installing a Steeroids C2-C3 rack and pinion conversion kit that we picked up from Speed Direct. So now we have to install these Z-cylinder brackets. We're just going to use a pair of needle nose, put them in through this hole here, just like that. We're going to use the new grade 8 hardware that comes with the kit. Make sure you use a washer. Now the factory bolts were carriage bolts, and these are not, so you will have to use a backup wrench. We take our driver's side bracket. The flat side goes towards the frame. Another set of washers. And then the nylock nuts. And then we're going to put a 9/16 backup wrench. Snug them down. Then we take our gusset, and it goes up on those C-cylinder studs we installed earlier. And we're going to loosely install the nuts and lock washers. Alright. Now then we'll take the next set of bolts. And we'll line this up. These are 1/2-inch bolts. This is a tight fit. Another washer on each one. And locking nut. 1/2-inch backup wrench. Snug each one up. And then go ahead and torque them down. That makes this nice and tight. Now we can go ahead and finish this. The passenger side bracket, again, you can reuse the factory hardware, but we're not going to. Remove those bolts. Take your new grade 8 hardware. Washer on each side of the bolt. Your bracket. This goes towards the front of the car. Sometimes all of your bolt holes don't exactly match up 100% perfect. The build tolerances on these cars was not very good. And we've got one here that doesn't quite want to line up. This doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. You'll notice this hole is slotted. We're going to have to either slot this one or slot this one. We're going to go ahead and modify this real quick. And we're going to use a burr on our drill. You can use this in a die grinder, but we're just going to try it with the drill. There we go. Then a washer, nylock nut, and the same on this one. We torque these to about 35 foot-pounds. Now we're going to mount the rack up to the car, and this is where having a friend can help. Now notice on this side that the bushing moves. We're going to have to move that line out of the way a little bit. Roll this like that. And then like that. Slide it up. Make sure the bushings are straddling the mount here. The aluminum mount goes on the driver's side. We'll take a bolt and a washer, get it in that upper hole, and then you want to use a washer and a nut on the back side. Washer on the back side, nylock bolt. Alright, come back and we torque these down. Slide these up. Till they engage. And then drop the top on. Now, you'll notice that there's a little gap between the steering arm and the bottom of the taper pin. This is normal. The taper is fully seated into the steering arm. When this is snugged down, that's normal. It's the way it's supposed to be. Don't worry about that. These will be adjusted later when the weight of the car is on the suspension to get the tie rod arms level with the lower control arm. This is how you adjust your system to eliminate bump steer. We're going to go ahead and put some thread locker on the inner tie rod bolts as well. Now we're going to go ahead and torque each one of these to 80 foot-pounds. Now we get that installed. Then we take the support rod bearing, and that goes up into this hole. We've already pre-installed one of the jam nuts. We'll put a second jam nut on the back side. Now this right here is how you adjust your angle and your binding. So once we have the body back on the car, we can connect this to the steering column, and we'll be able to move this up and down to get the angles just right. So we're going to go ahead and tighten that down and run this jam nut in here. Now some cars have an issue between the input shaft jam nut and the motor mount. You can see right here, that's not going to work. It runs right into it. It's going to mess it up. Both of them are going to be an issue. So we're going to go ahead and pull these out. And we're going to install the shorter jam nuts. Now, because we can't connect this to our steering column and finish this portion of the install, I'm not putting thread locker on these yet, but I will thread lock these when we're all done. And that's just about it on installing the C2 C3 rack and pinion conversion from Steeroids. Now, obviously we need to hook this up to a steering column, but we can't do that until the body's back on the car. We also need to adjust the bump steer angle on our tie rods. Check back at speeddirect.com for more helpful tech videos, and we'll see you next time.